now tuned in to Heat Check One-on-One with Slatter. Brought to you by GTA Sports Network. Subscribe to the YouTube channel GTA Sports. Make sure you follow GTA Sports Network on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Follow GTA Heat Check, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. And make sure you check out GTASportsNet.com for all things in the world of sports. Hello everyone, this is Slatter. Welcome to another edition of Heat Check One-on-One. I got a great friend of mine, Coach Nate Bowie. How you doing today, bro?
I'm good, man. How about yourself?
I can't complain, honestly. It's been a crazy wild card weekend in the NFL and the NBA. Oh, it's a lot of COVID going on right now. I don't even want to start off with bad news, but I know you heard about it. The Heat and Celtics game got postponed today.
I know. I heard about that.
Like, what's your take on it? I mean, the NBA was able to be successful in the bubble, so what's your take on it being outside of the bubble? Do you feel like COVID is going to be worse now because they're actually back home trying to make the home courts available, trying to slowly bring fans back in? Do you think they'll be able to do that this season? Like, what's your take on that right now?
I think first and foremost, like we got to tip our hat to the NBA for being able to, basically do 2 seasons. Obviously the season is not done yet, but being able to do 2 seasons without any kind of cases or any kind of, declining games and things like that. Because last year in the bubble, obviously, they didn't have any cases going on, and then this year, I think they played about 14 games, 15 games. Without cases, and that's not bad. With the everyday world and all those things that we involved in, that's not a bad number or whatnot. So I think it's going to be some cancellation of games and all that different stuff, but I don't think it's going to be too much. I mean, 1 cancellation out of 15 games, shoot, by that time you got 3 cancellations. I think it's just a hard situation because now you're dealing with grown men with so much freedom and so much money. So the temptations to be able to, hey, let me fly to Brazil, for a weekend, or let me go to a strip club, for a week, or whatever it might be for entertainment. I think it's hard for a lot of these guys because they're not in the bubble, right? So to speak. So I think they will have a few more problems, but first and foremost, I mean, you got to tip your hat for them, to them. They done a good job with being able to stay clear with getting anything. And then the teams that's really, really focused too,
right?
They're not gonna be involved in that COVID stuff. So,
So it's really gonna come down to who wants it bad enough. Like the LA
that's
Lakers, for example, they obviously want to run it back. LeBron's probably gonna get on everybody on the group chat. Like, look, I know you want to go out to the club right now.
Yep.
I need you in the gym. I don't want you to have to quarantine for 2 weeks and we miss you for 2 weeks worth of games, and those 20, 30 points that you put up at night are, obviously the things that are game changers, wins and losses. I think LeBron being the leader that he is, I don't think he gets enough credit for being the leader that he is, honestly.
I was just having this conversation with somebody about that. I mean, it was another podcast and a good friend of mine, but he was just kind of, saying that one of the topics was how do African Americans continue to elevate in a certain way. And I know that LeBron James is the head and the leader. And I think the conversation was basically saying that how could we take over and being able to kind of build our own and being able to, how to say so in different things. And, LeBron gets close to that, and what he basically was saying was LeBron doesn't make all the decisions, and any decision that he makes, he has to go through the league. But I kind of told him too, the way that LeBron is kind of moving with clutch sports and all this different things, like he's doing some stuff the NBA don't necessarily like, but they can't lose him. You can't lose the face of your league because you lose, millions, billions of dollars, and so.
It's definitely a conflict of interest. I like the clutch sports, the uninterrupted. He basically controls the narrative at every level. He makes sure that the media doesn't, put any, smut on his name or, any rumor reports about him. That he makes sure that he gets his people to call up immediately, tell them, look, hey, we don't approve that.
Right.
If you don't want to, make this a lawsuit, I would recommend you go ahead and change the subject. Don't even bring it up.
Yep. Quickly.
Yeah. So I think somebody else I was talking to also mentioned that his greatest contribution to the game of basketball is not even what he does on the court; it's what he does off the court. The move that he made to Miami in 2010, not necessarily the decision as far as how he filmed it, because I'm sure I believe he admitted later on that he kind of regretted doing it that way. But as far as him encouraging players to look, don't feel like you have to spend your whole career in one, particular franchise that may or may not be building for a championship. Go where you feel
Right.
like you can maximize your potential and win as many championships as possible and create your own destiny and your own legacy.
Yeah, I mean, again, if you go back to, he was with the Cleveland Cavaliers for 8 years, and his best player was Algauskas, or Mo Williams. Mo Williams was an all-star. You see what I'm saying? So, and he was an all-star on default, not taking nothing from Mo Williams, but he was an all-star based on somebody else was hurt. So his next best player was Mo Williams, Algauskas. I mean, it's like, how you gonna win a lot of consistent games? Larry Hughes was there too. It's like, how, when he was older. So how you gonna win consistent games? And they wasn't necessarily building, to be able to win, and so I
Right.
don't know if that has a lot to do with money, is that has a lot to do with the way that they move, or people just don't want to go to Cleveland. But he's been there for 8 years and he did what he was supposed to do, take them to a finals, take them to all those different things with not a good team.
Absolutely.
And so you get tired of that all the time. It's just like if you working at your job and you sitting up there busting your ass 24/7, in your job, and you ain't getting a raise for eight
Right.
years, you
Exactly.
know. So you like, let's move on. Let me go to another job and I do the same thing and I'm gonna make more.
I
So
agree. I agree.
mhm.
Before we get, because again, the conversation just flows on its own. It takes a mind of its
Right.
own. We gotta let the world know, who is Coach Bowie.
That's a good question, man. Born and raised in Kansas City, Kansas. I think a lot of people kind of get it
Kansas
misconstrued a
City,
little bit.
Missouri.
Yeah,
It
it's two of them. But
is.
overall, yeah, it's Kansas City. Born and raised there. I did 2 years of JUCO basketball in Kansas. I don't know if a lot of people know JUCO basketball, but the Midwest is probably one of the top JUCO leagues in the nation. Kansas is one of the top. And then out of there, I was a JUCO All American. I had 33 D1 offers. I verbal to
Wow.
Purdue,
Hey,
verbal to Purdue. And I made a decision not to go there because Gene Caney, legendary coach, man, he retired. He retired the same year I was coming out. And I think a lot of kids don't understand this. And this is something I didn't know either, too, but I know now. When you go to a school, obviously there's a lot of competitiveness that a lot of people don't understand between coaching staff.
right.
And so whoever recruits you, you're competing with that other assistant coach that recruits somebody else.
Gotcha.
So they're competing like, who's gonna get on the court, play my guy, play this, play that. So with Gene Caney recruiting me and the head coach actually recruiting me, and then him retiring, me coming out of JUCO, I only had 2 years left. So I need to go somewhere where I was gonna play. Obviously, I'm gonna have my ups and downs. I'm coming from JUCO ball to high major D1. And so I need somebody to validate that, on the
Right.
court. I might throw a turnover, and so I end up signing to Central Arkansas, a mid-major D1 down in Arkansas, and end up having a great career there. I was an NCAA All-American, led the Southland Conference in scoring. It was great. And then out of there, I end up signing with it was back in the day, it was called the D League. First year was the D League, and then played 9 years of pro, NBA Summer League, Spain, Turkey, Russia, Euro League, Euro Cup, Balkan League. Had a great career, so I would never take back my decisions going forward with that. And so now, up to speed, I'm a head coach at a JUCO out here in the Pacific Northwest. I've been coaching collegiate basketball for about 5 years. I own my own AAU Adidas team, black
Hey,
owned. Yep, black owned. Everybody in staff is African American. Also, too, I'm an NBA WNBA trainer as well. So I go around, and not just that. I wanted to put that kind of tighter one. I'm a pro trainer, and
gotcha.
so I train a lot of different clients around the nation, around the world, actually. And then so I get contracted out to do camps, and then I do my own camps around the world. And so I'm busy with just trying to elevate a lot of other people. And the main reason why I do that is because I didn't have somebody that helped me do that. I had a great family base, mom and dad divorced and all those different things, but still was a good family base. But
Gotcha.
they're mom and dad, they're mom and dad. And so that's the most important thing. They just want to teach you how to grow up in the world, but they don't know anything about, the politics of basketball, college basketball. I don't know anything about that. And
Accuracy.
so that's my lane. That's my lane. So just giving back.
I like that, and you raised a lot of good points in that, because being Black and having some people not having that foundation you spoke of when it comes to
Mm-hmm.
parenting, kids feel like the only way out is to grab a microphone and write some rhymes, or I gotta have a basketball or football in my hand. They don't realize
Mm-hmm.
that there's so many other careers within the sport of basketball that Blacks should be more involved with. And one of those that you touched on, well, you actually got two of them, but the one I really want to get on first is coaching. Um,
Mm-hmm.
my first question to you is, if I wanted to become a coach at any level, whether it be elementary, middle school, high school, on up, if you found somebody like me and I was interested in coaching, what would you recommend? What would be your advice? How would I get started? What kind of recommendations would I need? Qualifications, if there's any standards. What are they
Mm-hmm.
looking for in Black coaches? Because I know the standards are a little different when your skin's a little darker. So
Right.
what exactly are they looking for that gets you in that door, get your foot in the door?
I think the first thing is understanding what level you want to coach at.
Okay.
And so if you want to coach at a high school level, I think a lot of people get misconstrued where you got to be a PE teacher. And you don't got to be a PE teacher. If you actually read every association, you don't have to be a PE teacher. They just would like you to be in the school, right? And so I think you have to educate yourself in that manner.
Gotcha.
When it comes to a collegiate level, obviously it's who you know. Now, a good friend of mine had another podcast, Brian Collins, Penny Collins, actually. He's the head coach at, I don't want to mess this up, Middle Tennessee or Tennessee State. One of
Okay.
those. He used to coach at ETSU. And then he went on to Illinois and all that stuff. Now he's the head coach, where he touched on it's this token Black coach kind of thing. And so
Right.
what happens is, when you go to a D1, they want to be able to have some kind of Black or African American somebody on staff.
Right.
They're not going to be able to go in Cabina Greens or Gary, Indiana, or in St. Louis or wherever they're going to do to go recruit a kid. I'm not going to listen to that unless you Coach K, or if you Calipari and you talking about something else, right?
Right.
And so I think that is the standard too as well. So the most important thing is politics, but at the same time too is knowing your worth, right? And I think a lot of people don't know that, right? So for me, being from the Midwest, born and raised in the Midwest, once I retired from playing pro basketball, I did 1 year back in Jayhawk conference in Kansas. And so being able to kind of learn the dynamics and things like that and seeing how fast I can kind of move up. Now, another good thing to understand is, like, if you have an AAU team, if you're training anybody, that's sometimes people's ways into a coaching staff. I might be, working with, Bobo, and he's a top recruit. Well, what's
Right.
gonna happen? They're gonna offer me a job. It might be the last assistant job, but they're gonna offer me a job.
Okay.
And so having talented kids around you and actually having some, because that's just building your resume up, right? If
Right.
you go to college to be a doctor, well, you pretty much is going to go in there with something. But if you're going to college, and you're trying to get a doctor's degree, but you only have a master's, that probably won't work, right? So having an actual full portfolio to bring and say, hey, you need me, is the most important thing. And so having that, and they can't turn their head, they can't turn their back. For me, and I think it's a good thing for people to understand, D1 is a lot different. So if I coach D1, which I can right now, I can go to a D1, girls
Right.
or boys side, and coach. I
Okay.
can't do AAU. I can't train. I can't move the way I move. There's a
Mm,
lot of good coaches, a lot of good friends of mine, solo, that said, Earl Roberts, said a great thing. He called me a couple months ago. He was like, man, I love what you're doing. Because you get to be that last assistant, you've been assistant coach, you might be making 40, 50, 30, $1,000, whatever it might be, and you answer to somebody. And so, you got to do this, you got to do that. You might bring a recruit to somebody, and they like, nah, I don't want them. You might bring another recruit, and then the other head assistant like, we don't recruit those kind of guys. So your wheels are spinning. Mind you, you out on the road 24/7, and you're away from your family.
yep.
So now it's like it's a lose-lose situation. For me, I'm be able to control my narrative the way I kind of control it, and I'm a head coach. And I think that's important too with the process. And sometimes it takes moving. You got to move. And so that's important.
Did you always have that kind of freedom with your career, or did you have to do the jobs where you were answering somebody to get to the point you're at now? Like, what was your path? If you were able to kind of summarize your path, was you always independent thinking? Was you always
Yeah, yeah. I was
controlling your
always
narrative?
independent. I was
Okay.
always independent. I give my first props to my JUCO because I went to this JUCO called Kobe Community College, which is in Western Kansas. So imagine like you in a place where it's 50 white people around you compared to one black guy. So
Yeah.
the only black people that was there was I'm not even gonna say the athletes. The only black people who was there was the men's basketball team. The girls basketball team was one black person, and the rest was foreigners. Wrestling team was white, baseball team was white, softball team was white. So they inducted to the Hall of Fame. And one thing that I kind of told them was, even though it might look a little different, but I applied them and I applied the area I was in because that made me grow as a human being, right?
Right.
Being able to come from a place that wasn't, too prosperous and didn't really prepare somebody to go to college, that helped me because I was able to see some shit I didn't see. Like, I've never been around that many, Caucasian people. And so that opened my mind up right
Yeah.
there. Was like, there's some ways for me to move, right? And then I started figuring out like I'm in control of where I want to go. So yeah, I can go to Michigan, yeah, I could go to Purdue, yeah, I can go to St. John's, but let me go to Central Arkansas, which is a mid-major, and I can control the way I want to play. Then they need you, right? And then out of that, it's like now it's like you have deals, you have these different things. So in between that time of playing pro, I was setting up my next move. So while I was playing pro, I used to come home. So the seasons kind of look like this from September to May, just like
Right.
NBA,
Yep.
right? So you get paid for 8 months, 9 months. September's your preseason, your training camps and all that stuff. October is your regular season. What
Right.
happened is guys make all this money, or let's say you make 20,000, let's say you make 50,000, let's say you make 250,000. Guys come home, spend it, ball out, get your Maseratis, get your lofts, get all that different stuff. I would come home and work at the Boys and Girls Club,
Okay.
YMCA.
Right.
Yep, Boys and Girls Club, YMCA. Number one, I have free gym access. Number two, I could I could work out and do whatever I need to do. Right. Number
Yeah.
three, I can bring in clients. Right, I can bring in clients to train. So, and I was still getting paid. So I was living off the money that I was making from those places to keep going. Fast
Not
forward
really
it all the
touching your
way,
basketball money.
not touching my basketball money. Then you fast forward all the way up until now. They like, oh, you in the real world. What's your job experience? Well, I'm a recreation specialist at the YMCA. Minority owned Boys and Girls Club. In between that time of set myself up for the next phase of my life, I think that was important for me to be able to move the way I needed to move and kind of do some things that was a lot different from just I'm a pro basketball player. And I think that was important for a lot of guys. There's guys right now that's my age that's still hooping for 15 years because they don't know what they want to do after that.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, man. Like for overseas ain't no pensions. You know what I mean? It's not like the league or like you get a retirement pension. Overseas ain't like that. So it's like you gotta know what you want to do here sooner or later, or at least you saving some money back to be able to do that. So
Hopefully. Yeah.
hopefully the narrative is a lot different when you do that.
So in the midst of you traveling, being able to train, whether it be through the league, through the AAU circuit with your AAU team, are you doing any speaking engagements? Like how you talking to me right now? Do you do any speaking engagements at schools to kind of encourage athletes to have a plan after basketball? Do you do any mentorship like that?
Right. I don't. I need to get into that. I think it's important.
You seem like you'd be really good for that. I mean, just in talking to me, I feel like you talking to me about what's my plan after hooping. Like I feel like you'd be good for that. No,
Yeah, and
for
I think
real.
that's important. Now I talk with the clients like that, but I think in a bigger, larger scale, I think it's important for at least somebody that looks like them, to
Yes.
understand. It's like, hey, this is what you need to do. This is what you can do in between mean times. So that's a good idea. I need to get on that, honestly.
So
Um,
yeah, with that, of course, whether it be encouraging careers after basketball, how do we make coaching and training more popular? Because again, our people, we want to be the baller, we want to be the hooper, we want to be the center of attention. You know, we feel like that's the only way to be successful. It's the only way to give my mama a house, my mama a new car. You know, because that's just what we, you know, the environments we come from. So how do we make coaching and training more popular amongst our people?
What would
you recommend?
Well, you kind of run into a narrative where, you know, you might train somebody and you might charge 60, 70, or whatever it might be. And I can't get that. I can't get that in the area that I grew up in, you know? And so now it's like, how do we come up with maybe potentially a nonprofit? How can we come up with a different angle, a charter angle where kids that don't have the same amount of money are able to train with NBA, you know, trainers or with pro trainers just as much as, you know, little Johnny over there living in the suburbs.
Right.
So I think the most important thing with that is being able to have a narrative where everybody sort of winning, or potentially, you know, I do free clinics. You know, I pop up randomly and do pop up clinics, you know, in areas where I know they can't afford, you know, to do certain things, you know. And so I think that is important. I think with coaching wise, the first thing is schooling, right? Just letting them and knowing like, hey, you have to have a degree for them to even, you know, think or look, you know, at you. And
Right.
it's a big thing too, just like teachers, not enough black teachers, not enough black male teachers. And so a lot of people say, hey, you know, there's a pocket for us to be able to be that, but you know, you ain't a lot of kids from your area that want to grow up and be a teacher. You know what I mean? They don't want to do that. You know what I mean? So just having people like us that's a little bit older that understand, like, dude, there's an opportunity for you to make some good money and to impact somebody else too as well. You might go play pro basketball, you might do something else, but get your teaching degree so that
Yeah.
now when you're done, you can end up coming back and being able to help referees. They ain't enough black referees. You know what I
That's
mean?
another one. Referees, absolutely.
Yeah, there's not enough in the collegiate level. There's not enough, and so but nobody wants to grow up and be a referee. You know, and so just being able to make them aware and being important of different aspects of different jobs can go into that's affecting the youth, that's helping everybody else on an everyday basis important. So I would say those little things like education wise, having information, having people that came before us, you know, tell the kids and explain to kids and just keep on nailing it into their brain till they know as much as possible.
Okay. So from a trainer's perspective, since you do train in the NBA and WNBA, um, let's touch on the WNBA for a second. What is, if you were to describe the main issue with the WNBA that stops them from being as big as they should be, being that they've been around over 20 years and they still seem to struggle financially when the teams, but minus the COVID, everybody struggled, right?
Mhm.
Before COVID, what, from what you can tell, because the women are talented. I mean, I've covered women's basketball games at the collegiate level, obviously the WNBA, the pro level.
Mhm.
What is the issue with that league from your point of view that stops the league from being bigger than what it should be?
Um, we just touched on this yesterday. I think the most important thing before the league even gets hit is the marketing of the athlete itself,
Okay.
right? And I think a lot of the women don't understand that they are a business entity. So a lot of these guys that sign exhibit 10s or exhibit 8 contracts as an NBA but a G League guy or not, they verify they making all this other money and all this different stuff because they're showing themselves. They going out there on social media. They're getting all these endorsement deals.
Exactly.
But a lot of these women are just like, you know, I didn't know, you know, like Kobe, you know, to bring her name up that I just worked out. Um, she got 3 posts on Instagram, right? And it's like you have 3 posts on Instagram, but you're a WNBA, you know, talent, you know, and so you're a WNBA player. And so it's like before somebody else can help you, you got to help yourself, right? And so you got it. Diana Taurasi, she goes out there and do what she's supposed to do. You know, Sue Bird, she goes out there and do what she's supposed to do. Cambridge, you know, Cambridge does a great job of getting out there. You know, she used her looks for modeling and all this other stuff. There's a lot of
Asia
great.
Wilson's good at that too. Yeah.
Asia Wilson does it, you know, and so
Mm.
there's a lot of women that's doing it now. But I think overall, the first thing is just understanding that they are a business entity. Like
Okay.
whatever you do, you could be making money out of on top of what WNBA pays you. I think that's the most important thing. And then number two, I think obviously people talk about the salary, but what people don't fail to realize is this is one thing people don't know. Well, they do know, but it's kind of looked under. The NBA goes for 8 months. The WNBA is 3 months. Or you know what I'm saying? So yes, you can go up in the money, which they have, but it's hard to pay somebody $1 million if you only pay for 3 months, right?
Right.
And so it's
Season ain't long
hard
enough.
to do that. Yeah, it's hard. Season's not long enough. Now I think they do deserve way more money that they're getting. I
Oh
think
yeah,
they
yeah.
deserve the same endorsement deals. I think they and all that different stuff too as well. But it's
Absolutely.
hard to pay, somebody a certain amount of money when you only play for 3 seasons. But I think they should be getting, I mean, three months. I think they need to be getting what they deserve for those 3 months, and endorsement deals and all those things. And that comes from your agents and all those different things. I think the WNBA does do a good job of pumping some teams out and all those different things. I think like Minnesota was one of your first teams that actually had like a great crowd base. LA was doing it a little bit before LA Sparks, but
Yeah.
Minnesota Lynx, when they had that powerhouse team, Maya Moore and all those different girls, I mean, those are sold out arenas because it's in a random place where there ain't no pro teams besides one other NBA team.
Right.
But I think just endorsements, being able to push their own pattern, being able to push their own lane, which you are seeing now because of COVID and the Black Lives Matter movement and all these different things. But I think, yeah, just being able to take control of your own lane is the first thing with a WNBA to do. I think that's important.
Okay. Okay. Now are you located in Portland right now?
I'm located in Portland.
Okay, so have you
Hmm.
been following the Trailblazers these last couple seasons, or do you follow them at all?
Yeah,
Or
yeah. hmm Used to have a
um,
couple clients there.
okay, okay. So being that they're in the stacked Western Conference,
Hmm.
and we know Dame is loyal to the soil, he's not going anywhere. He signed like 2 or 3 max contracts in the last 3 or 4 years, so we know he's locked in. What does Portland
Hmm.
need, or can they even afford at the state they're in right now financially to get another piece to get them over the hump? Or are they just stuck in what we call like NBA purgatory? They're just stuck in that same spot when it comes to being in a stacked Western Conference. What do you think it'll take for them to get over the hump, if it's even possible at this point?
I mean, they got some pieces, right? They got
Right.
some really good pieces, and they've been having really good pieces for the last 2 or 3 years. So
Yeah,
I think if you put another superstar there, they're gonna win a lot more games. But the thing is, you have McCollum and you have Lillard that plays basically the same position, right? And you don't have one thing, you don't have a true point guard, right? So like LA was winning games because you had Rondo as a true point guard,
I agree.
right? He getting the ball out of his hands. LeBron gets 12 assists, 10 assists, but he's not a true point guard. But
Right.
you have a true point guard with Rondo that makes things a lot easier. McCollum is not a point guard. Lillard is not a true point guard. He plays the point guard position, but he's not a true point guard. So
Yeah,
now you
combo
have
guard.
McCollum, combo guard. McCollum is putting up 22 shots a game. Lillard's putting up, 25 shots a game. Nurkic gonna want his. Kanter's gonna want his. Melo definitely gonna get his, right? And then you got all the young boys that's solid that's gonna want theirs too as
Right.
well. So
Right.
it's not enough basketball. So you need to do a common denominator. It's like what do we need a point guard to get that ball moving to everybody and get that offensive moving as much as possible. And I think that's what they really are missing. They got the bigs,
Right.
you got the defense, you got the scores, you got the size, you got the young, you got the youth, you got some older guys. That's what they truly need is that because when you got guys at the same height that's doing the same thing, you need a little bit more. Like John Wall and Bill, they
Same
damn near the
thing.
same height. Same
Hmm.
height, yeah. The difference with LA is like you got LeBron at 6'7", 6'8". K,
Then you got AD.
AD is 6'11".
Yeah.
So that's totally different positions.
There you go.
So you
Yeah.
can't guard that. You can't guard that. You can go in one day, you can go out one day. With Lillard and McCollum, everything is out, shots, side steps. Everything is shot from the outside looking in. Same thing with LA Clippers. Paul George and
Kawhi
Leonard,
Leonard
they
play the same position.
same same
Yeah.
position.
Yep.
So
Yep.
that's why it didn't work in the playoffs because it's the same
Mm,
position.
Okay.
And then people don't understand that. You know, Patrick Beverly, yes, he's a point guard, but Patrick Beverly's not a true point guard. You know, and so he's not sitting out there and getting 20 assists. No, it doesn't work. But you have to have superstars at a different position to make your team really, really good. And that's what they're really, really missing, you know, is that aspect of it.
I mean, it makes perfect sense. I mean, you broke it down eloquently, but here's my question to you. We're talking about a
Mm-hmm.
team that salary cap, they have no money. Okay.
Right.
So what I heard when you broke that down, that you got two players that play the same position, that put up roughly the same amount of shots, do the exact same thing, and there's no true point guard. It sounds like to me that CJ McCollum is expendable.
Yeah. So if you make a trade, he's going to be the guy you're going to make a trade for. Now, if they want to make a trade, I mean, the kid averaged what, 26, 25, something like that last year. He averaged crazy amount of numbers.
Right.
So if they want to make a trade, I mean, I think obviously last year was a good opportunity to do it. I don't know how much is. I think it's like a year left on his contract, maybe, or two, something
Yeah.
like that.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, he will be the one. But you have to bring in another superstar, because McCollum is an all-star. Lillard is a superstar. So when you're going up against in the West with guys being superstars, each team has superstars, it's going to be hard to win. So it's like, what can you get? You're going to have to give up a lot to get another superstar. You can get an all-star, but you're going to give up a lot to get another superstar. And who is that superstar that's going to mesh with Lillard?
I got two people. I got one person that I know will fit with him, and I got one that I want to ask you about just out of curiosity, because he is in the topic of discussion right now.
Mm-hmm.
Well, actually, now I think about it, it's actually three now. Just hit me just now. But the first one that I know would fit, because he fits any team in the league, and he's definitely about to be up for grabs, in my opinion, by the trade deadline. Bradley Beal.
Bradley Beal. Yes, he does, but he's kind of the same player. You know,
So
like
that's too close for you. That's
too close.
It's too close.
You need that's too close. He's the same player as McCollum. You know, obviously I think he can score, but McCollum can score that ball, man. You know what I mean? So I'm like, at the end of the day, I need something that's a lot more different than that. Like, who's a good big? You know, who's a big that's gonna come set a or who's a point guard that's a powerhouse? You know, something like that.
Okay. So here's my next one, because the third one is so radical that I feel like you're just gonna blow it out the water. But the second one that I just came up with just now is Ben Simmons.
Ben Simmons. Now you're talking, right?
Okay.
Because you have a lot of shooters in Portland, right? And Ben Simmons don't shoot that
He don't
thing.
shoot.
He don't shoot it, but he gonna get to the cup. You know, he gonna draw the double team. He can post. He can do all those things. Ben Simmons will be a good look. That will change their whole dynamic. If you have the same team right now, but the thing is, how much do you have to give up to get him? You know, is McCollum and Simmons the same? Can they trade each other off? You know, who knows?
McCollum has a big contract. Ben Simmons doesn't have a big contract. So maybe they could throw another team in there, another player in there to kind of even it out, make it make sense.
Right.
I don't have the particulars on that, but I just figured because of the style of play that Ben Simmons brings to the table, that he would be a better fit next to Dame and Melo and everybody else.
Absolutely.
Nurkic.
Ben Simmons will be your guy to get. That's a good one. I don't even think that's radical. I think that's just a good one. I don't think
No. I haven't said the radical one yet.
Okay.
The radical one is the last one. I saved him for last. James Harden.
Yeah, that ain't happening.
See, I told
James
you.
James ain't going there. I think I just don't know if he wants to come out here. That's the thing. Like, it's not even about the team. It's just like, I don't think he wants to come out here. You know what I mean? And so him and Lillard ain't enough basketball. Ain't enough basketball with that.
Yeah.
Him and Westbrook work because Westbrook trying to get his dimes.
Right.
You know what I mean? Westbrook is trying to get his dimes and he's trying to get his rebounds too as well.
That's
he don't want to do ISO all the time.
That's because Westbrook know he can't shoot the rock like Harden can.
Can't shoot the rock like that. So it worked out perfectly, you know. But now it's like, John Wall and Harden. I mean, I think that's a good, solid, okay. But the team is not the team is not good.
The chemistry's ruined. I mean,
the chemistry is ruined.
I want Harden out of Houston immediately, because I feel like John Wall
Mm-hmm.
and DeMarcus Cousins for the first time in like 2 years are on a redemption tour because they both are healthy right now.
Right.
And they play together in Kentucky. So this is a chance for them to reunite and see what they can recreate that magic they had in college. Even though that
Right.
was quite some time ago,
Right.
I still believe they have something left in the tank to offer.
Who you think gonna win this year?
The NBA is so predictable yet unpredictable. I would say the Lakers again. I don't want them to win again because I'm not the biggest Laker fan, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not that I don't like the franchise. I mean they're one of the greatest franchises in history of sports, but
Mm-hmm.
um, I'm an underdog, so I like rooting for the underdog. So I'm looking at Phoenix and what CP3 is doing down there with Booker this year. The fact that Booker has a real true point guard, that he don't have to be the one, he could be the two now. He could do catch and shoot and just shoot the lights out now. DeAndre
Right.
Ayton has somebody that he can pick and pop and pick and roll with now. And the IQ level of the team just got raised to that level of excellence. When you got CP3 on your team, you see what he did last year with OKC. They were at a 0.6% chance of making the playoffs. They took Houston to 7 games. They were
Seven
literally a few
games.
shots away from upsetting the whole Western Conference.
Right. They should have won.
They
They
should have
honestly
won.
should have won. They should have won that first series. They
They should
played
have
way
won.
better. They just didn't hit a couple shots down the stretch.
I mean, when you got young players like that, that's. I like the fact that CP3 was trying to encourage the young gunners to take the shot and
Mm-hmm.
try to help them live in the moment. I've already had my moment. This your time. So I mean, it's like it's honorable, but it's like, man, why didn't you just hit the shot? You can hit it. Why didn't you just take it?
Right.
You
Right.
would have gave the
Yeah.
Lakers a run for their money. Had OKC got to the Lakers instead of the Rockets, it would have been a completely different situation.
Well, shoot, maybe that's the reason why CP3 ain't got no rings.
He
Because he had a
defers.
squad in LA. He had a squad in LA.
He
He had a
did.
squad.
He had a squad in Houston. Let's
Squad in
not let's
Houston.
not let's not sleep on Eric Gordon.
Mm-hmm.
Good friend of mine, Eric. His brother Aaron plays at Valpo. I'll be doing actually. It's funny. I'll be doing an interview with him tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
We want to do another interview, but good, great people. Eric Gordon, their dad, great. I don't know if you talked to him before. Great guy.
I haven't talked to him before.
Oh, that's great. They had a great family. But yeah,
His
as far
brother
as
plays at Valpo.
yeah, is the youngest brother. Yeah, the middle brother, if I'm not mistaken, he has a training camp in China.
Mm-hmm.
So Evan is in China. He's overseas doing his thing with training overseas. I want to say he still plays, but I know he's doing like training camps overseas. Their dad has a training camp here in Indianapolis, and then Aaron plays at Valpo. So
Okay.
yeah,
Okay. I gotta look
that's
him up.
awesome. Yeah. Check them out. So they still got EJ down in Houston right now. Daniel House, um, Ben McLemore.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they have how could I forget Christian Wood? Oh, that was a great pickup in the offseason. Yeah, Christian Wood.
Right. Yeah.
Somebody who's been grinding behind the scenes, been in the league like 5 years. People didn't even know it.
Mm-hmm.
He's been playing for different G League teams, and
Got his chance now.
he got his shit. Hey, and he's making the most out of it too.
Mm-hmm.
Making the most out of it. I just hope that Boogie and John Walker stay healthy because their careers have pretty much been, labeled as bust
Injury prone.
and injury prone because of that. Like they haven't reached their
Right.
potential yet, and it's almost like people forgot about, especially John Wall. It's like,
Right.
do you understand the Wizards were actually really a contender for at least 2 or 3 years? They were really
Mm-hmm.
making enough noise in the East. They could have easily upset the Eastern Conference if they had just made a few more shots, like you said, down the stretch in
Right.
clutch moments. And
But
then of course
John
John
Wall got
Wall.
it in this summer. He got it in this summer. He really went to work, with his training. And I was just, looking on social media and stuff, and they had him, making accuracy passes over, here. He's turning this way, doing. I mean, he just really been grinding. I just got the update. Shoot, LA just beat Houston 120 to 102. Um,
I expected that, especially it sounds like based on that score, Anthony Davis probably did play tonight. He had a knee contusion the last game, so he missed a game or two. But
mhm.
just based on the sound of that score, I'm pretty sure he probably played today.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
probably did. I mean, guys picking and choosing. Shoot, Kyrie picking and choosing when he gonna play, and all that different stuff too. So I was like,
While I
hey,
got you on here, man, I do gotta address the Brooklyn Nets. I'm a Kyrie fan on the court. What he does off the court, I cannot understand, or it irritates me. It's like, why can't you just play basketball? Why are you being so difficult off the court?
I think I seen the first time that I kind of realized like where he was at head wise. And a lot of people don't understand that because LeBron was he an old head. So, old head can, he can hush some stuff. You know what I mean? Just like that Jordan documentary. Nobody knew about that Dennis Rodman thing, but Dennis Rodman, Jordan's an old head, so you didn't know about that. He hushed some stuff, and you just looked at the championships. They win it. So the first thing was he was in the playoffs, and I think he was having a mental. He had it right before the playoffs. He was having a mental breakdown with Kalani, and Kalani, he was dating with Kalani, and Kalani was posting up pictures with Party Next Door. So Party Next Door was, he founded Kalani, he got her music out, whatever, dating or whatever it is. And that's when I kind of knew was like, he kind of is in a lane where he's young. So, but he don't understand like some certain things. So maybe what we see now is what the new Kyrie is growth wise. To be able to get to wherever he needs to get to focus, I guess. But you need some kind of it comes back on like Nash I think Nash was a good pickup as far as coaching wise, but you need somebody that's a little bit more you know what I mean? A little bit more you know.
I like Steve Nash as a player. Do I think that was a good pickup as a coach? No, because
Doc
again,
Rivers. Give me Doc.
give me Doc.
Tyronn Lue.
Nate McMillan. Give me.
Earl
You know what I mean?
Watson.
Yeah, absolutely.
Give me those guys that's been around in the coaching game for a while that
Right.
don't care to say something to you because they just can coach. And so I think he needs something like that too as well because it's gonna get to a point they're very skilled. They're one of the top skilled teams in the NBA.
No
The whole
leadership.
roster, no leadership. Because everybody boys. So it's kind of like when is that going? Turn the page. It's like, you already sitting out, kind of, and it might be something personal or things like that, which it's okay. Like, I don't mind you sitting out, but it's just like to win and to be able to be a powerhouse team, like you got to do some things that you don't want to do to put
And
your
one
team
of
on a
them
platform.
is one of those things he has to do is be willing to play basketball without Kevin Durant. Because it's mighty coincidental that as soon as KD goes out for 4 games for whatever reason, now all of a sudden you got personal reasons you don't want to play now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like,
and I think they won a couple of those games.
They did.
LeVert and all them dudes was hooping.
But see, here's the thing about somebody like me. I follow players that I actually enjoy playing. I enjoy watching Kyrie play. So when he doesn't play, I observe the teams that he's been on the last few years, and they play better without him.
They be cooking without him.
You saw what Boston did without him. They were a few shots away from beating LeBron's Cavaliers in 2018 with a rookie, Jason Tatum. He hadn't even peaked yet. He's still, trying to figure the game out. And they're taking them 7 games.
Right.
Without Kyrie and
so
Gordon Hayward.
And that's why I think he's just in a lane where nowadays it's that how can you be, it's not social media, but how can you be seen kind of lane. And I think that's the lane that kind of everybody is in. Let me do some drastic stuff. You know what I mean? So that you hear me and you understand me. I can be different. I can be extremely different it's like, dude, just hoop. Just play basketball, man. Just play basketball, hoop, elevate your team as much as possible to get to that next level and get it.
But I mean, what irritates me about it is the media hypes it up because KD's back, which I'm glad. I mean, I hate seeing players get injured and have to miss seasons like Klay Thompson. I mean, he just came back and got injured again. Like I hate seeing stuff like that. But with Kevin Durant, yes, he's a scoring machine. When you're 7 feet tall with a 7'6" wingspan, I mean, how can you stop that?
Right.
Honestly, unless you rip it from him on the way going up, that's the only way you're gonna get it. Or you can't foul him, he's gonna make his foul shots. He's a 50, 40, 90. So I mean, it's kind of hard to stop that. But they play no defense.
Nah, they don't play
No
no defense.
defense.
Yeah, don't play no defense. Not one person really. Not a stance where it's like, hey, let's get a stop here. Let's get a stop here. It's like, oh, we gonna outscore you. But
And
that's the
don't
game.
always work. Look at what
But
happened.
that's the game.
Look at what Atlanta did to him.
Well, that's the game that's how Nash played too. When he was the Suns. Remember it's D'Antonio. I think D'Antonio was the coach.
Yeah.
I think they was
7
out there
seconds or less offense. Yeah.
Yep, him, Stoudemire, and Marion, and all those dudes. I mean, they were just scoring, and they was a good team. But when it comes to really winning, and getting it didn't happen.
They
Because you gotta
flame
have
out in
the
the
whole
playoffs
thing.
because the other teams will figure them out. Like, if we can stop them from scoring, we can win this game.
Yep.
Because they're not going to stop us. They let us score. They just let us, take whatever we want.
Exactly.
So that's why when you ask that question about who I think is going to take it all, I mean, the current landscape of the league, there are teams that are building and they have, like you said, in Portland, they have pieces. But a lot of teams are missing maybe one more piece or two more pieces from being a true contender to take the Lakers down and dethrone them. So I
Right.
honestly feel like if LeBron wants to try to finish his legacy on a high note, go ahead and get as many rings as you can while you can, because until Kevin Durant and Kyrie get a coach that encourages defense and is defensive minded first to kind of complement their offensive juggernaut,
Mm-hmm.
then they're only gonna they may get to the finals, but I don't see them winning the finals.
Right. No experience really either, too. Honestly.
And you got to realize Kyrie only got a championship because of LeBron, and KD only got a championship because LeBron had no help, and because he had three Hall of Famers with him. So
it just came off of a championship.
He just came off a championship run. So
Right.
They're both of you're dealing with two players who want to be the man, two players who don't like authority, two players who don't really want to listen to anybody. They want to do their own thing. And I just feel like they don't take defense seriously.
Right. I agree too. I mean, all your great teams, that's played the game at a high level and consistently. Detroit Pistons back in the day. I mean, they was touching people up. Magic Johnson, they had great defense. Larry Bird and the Celtics, great defense with
The
McHale and all
Bulls.
those guys. Robert Parrish and the Bulls had great defense. Houston Rockets, when they won it a couple times, great defense. David Robinson and Duncan and Sean Elliott and all those guys. I mean, great defense with that. And so LA, with Kobe and all those guys. I mean, your main players was the guys that was clamping, and I think that's what people fail to realize. Like, they was playing both ends. Kobe played both ends of the floor. Jordan played both ends of the floor. Isaiah played both ends of the floor, right?
Exactly.
And so I think that's important for a lot of people to understand. It's like, man, I could score the ball. Like, stop me. Stop me from scoring, as well too. So that's the common denominators right there. Are you going to clamp up? You going to get a stop? So.
Do you think at any point in the near future that the NBA is going to realize that, okay, all these new rules that we put into the place to pretty much make, because from what I was told, and correct me if I'm wrong, because you obviously been around the game just a little bit longer than me, the league moved away from defense because fans liked the offense. They were trying to cater to the fans, the casuals, not the the diehards, people that eat, sleep, and breathe basketball. Like, but I feel like the casual fans were clamoring for more offense. These 123 to 115 type of scores, even the ones that go up to like 143 to 136. Like, do you feel like the league will ever take a step back and be like, maybe we need to, bring back hand checking or, things that have been gone for, last decade or so? Do you think they'll ever make a return, or?
It's too much money being made. It's too much money being made. Everybody, not just like one person, everybody's making money based on one team or one person or anything like that. So it will never go back. But one thing that we just talked about too as well is, like, what happens is, like, basketball is predominantly African American sport, right?
True.
but your owners is what?
White.
Your coaches is what? So
Majority
it's like,
white. Yeah.
exactly. So it's like, how can we continue to elevate the game, but take control of the game? So that's why you got technical fouls. That's why you got hand checking. That's why you got, if you hang on the rim just a little bit, that's a technical. If you don't show up to some interview, you get fined. That's why it's all these little things to kind of keep us down, right? And so it all runs neck and neck with that. And so when it comes to that, it's like these dudes is black. So automatically thinking, oh, they can run, skip, hop, jump, entertainment, more money, right? It's an all full circle with it. So that's the main reason why I think the game is where it is right now. It's like this is all entertainment. These black guys is entertainment, and we can make money off this. How can we control this as much as possible to make money, right? Because you got guys like, LeBron that's doing some things where they like you can't control it. LeVar Ball, he was the reason why the G League came up with the elite squad, because
Uh,
you're losing guys to overseas,
yeah,
right?
I'm a fan
So
of the Ball family. I've been following them since 2016. I love what they're doing. I got 3 boys myself. Now, granted, mine's are too young to start playing ball, but I still put a ball in their hand. They're young though, so it's like.
absolutely,
But again,
absolutely, the business mindset of it, he
yeah.
killed the game,
Oh
and
man,
so he killed the game. And we were just talking about, like, I think Jay-Z bought 1,000 of his shoes, but it's like, F that, like, invest in his business deal, because let's talk about some stuff that's a little bit more substance. You know what I mean? Like, I understand that, but let's talk about some more substance stuff to help people elevate. That same ideal is the reason why the G League is a success now.
well,
It's changed.
yeah, they literally saw what he did. They said this black man created his own league
Yep.
and gave kids in the inner cities that didn't get opportunities, that didn't get recruited. They weren't D1 recruits. They were 3-star recruits or 2-star recruits, and gave them an opportunity to say, "Here, we'll pay you to play
Mm-hmm. Yep.
professionally."
Mm-hmm.
Because the colleges you're trying to get into are not going to pay you.
Not gonna pay you.
They're
We
gonna
don't
make
only, and then only sport. It's the only sport, because baseball get paid. Baseball, you can have endorsement deals. Hockey, you can have endorsement deals. Swimming, you can go to Olympics and have endorsement deals. You can do whatever you want to do. The only sports is football and basketball, right? And I wonder why, right? And so that is the most important thing, and just being able to be an innovator and be able to change the dynamic. Same thing with like LeBron. Oh, let me invest in my clutch sports. You can control everything with clutch. So like Tyrese, when I was down in Dallas doing the NBA pre-draft stuff with some clients,
okay.
Tyrese Maxey was with a different agency, right?
Mm-hmm.
Tyrese Maxey ends up going to Clutch Sports. Him and what was the number one pick again? What was his name?
Oh, hold on.
Yep.
Yeah. Anthony
Killer from
Edwards.
Georgia, Anthony Edwards.
There we
So
go.
both of them were Clutch. So here's what they did was, so in the COVID, you had no NBA training camp. You had no NBA summer league. You had no NBA draft combine in Chicago.
And
You
no
had
real
none of these stuff.
preseason.
No preseason, right? So how does people get seen? How does my draft stock go up, draft stock go down? Now it hurts some people and kills them. Jay Scruggs. Jay Scruggs supposed to be lottery pick, right? But with the COVID stretching out for 8 months, 7 months, it was content going out that wasn't necessarily the best content with Jay Scruggs, and now he barely gets drafted. Right now, if they had a normal draft, he would have been lottery. Right, he would have been lottery because it's less content I'm seeing with Jay Scruggs. 2 or 3 months, I see Jay Scruggs, I'm drafting him lottery pick. 8 months stretching out, totally different. Well, Tyrese Maxey and them, what he did was he put it all where, hey, Trae Young, Michael Porter, Draymond Green, we all just chilling here, gonna watch these dudes work out. But let's put TVs in it. Put TVs in it, ESPN picks it up, and what is that? That's an NBA pre-draft workout, but it's not called an NBA pre-draft workout because we just hooping, right? We just working out like a normal trainer, but
Yeah.
let's put the TVs in it. He stretched it. He changed the whole rules with it. Subsequently, Tyrese Maxey goes lottery pick.
And he wasn't
Lottery
lottery
pick.
pick. And prior to that, he
No,
wasn't lottery pick at all.
he wasn't lottery pick. You see what I'm saying?
Wow.
Nah, he's not doing bad. He's doing solid. as well. But at the same time, just saying like he changed that dynamic
No,
of some
I'm
different
glad you
stuff.
brought him up. He was part of the 7 players that the Sixers played on Saturday and had a career
Yeah,
high, like 39 points.
was cooking. Yeah, it was cooking. So there's a lot of things that could be changed and a lot of stuff that the NBA is doing that they're trying to control. But I think with how the game is going now and what guys like LeVar and what all these guys are starting, Sharif Cooper that just got done playing, all these guys starting to figure out, it's like Brandon Jennings was one of the first. Brandon Jennings was the first one to do it. Not Dwight Howard, not Kobe Bryant. Them dudes went from high school straight to the league. But Brandon Jennings was the first one to do it when
I
they
remember that.
actually put the rule in. He said, forget Lou Olson. I ain't going to Arizona. I'm going straight to Italy. Go play 1 year. Didn't even play like that. He only got like 5 or 6 minutes. NBA scouts is all up on his practices, looking at him. Come back, sign a multi-million-dollar contract, lottery pick, right? And so now you got to get to a point where you gotta pay dudes. You're gonna have to pay, these kids for their likeness, overtime, baller's life. You got to pay these dudes. Isaiah Washington, Jelly fan, would have been had a lot of money. Now he barely can even get on the court. In the NCAA. Because he's not the same player as people thought he was. So, but he would have still been rich off he can hoop off his
Right.
likeness.
Man.
So yeah, that business entity, man, of it as an African American, man, is crucial. There's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of moves that could be made. As far as taking things in your own hands. And I'm not saying it on some racist or prejudice stuff. I'm not saying Caucasians or white people, wherever you want to call,
Man,
are
listen,
bad
this
people at
this is an
all.
independent platform, man. Just speak the truth, man. That's what we do.
Right. And so
We
for
do.
me, I'm just like, there's enough quality work, there's enough quality trainers, there's enough quality coaches, there's enough quality independent podcasts, there's entrepreneurs, there's a lot of stuff that's out there that we can support and help elevate everybody else. That's why I didn't knock Nate Robinson because he got knocked out. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, he took an L. He took an L, but I ain't gonna be that person on there that's gonna talk about, man, he got on social media, no, not gonna do that.
He took a L, but he got a bag for taking that L though.
There you go. And if you look deeper on it, he is winning because he on every little thing. He's announcing, he's a face of this, he's a face of that, he's doing this, he's doing that. He's doing every little thing on the back end. So he used his basketball to be able to consistently continue to make money, with doing stuff. And he thought he was a boxer, and he had to jump in the ring, so
hey, look, you don't know what you can and can't do till you try.
there you go.
So, speaking of which, we did bring it up a little bit throughout the conversation about the G League. Of course, I'm sure you're aware the G League draft is Monday.
Yep.
Of course, they're having a Disney bubble G League edition. I've heard names such as Lance Stevenson, Michael Beasley, and some other players that are free agents in the NBA as well as the G League that are going to be in this draft. One of the names I wanted to mention and get your take on is LiAngelo Ball. Obviously, this man, due to his father, cultivating their popularity throughout the years. Of course, he got famous for a lot of the wrong reasons, going over China and the whole Louis Vuitton glass situation. But do you think the league is still interested in seeing what LiAngelo Ball can do, or are they keeping him out to prove LeVar wrong, since LeVar predicted that he would have all 3 of his sons in the professional league of basketball?
No, I mean, I think it really comes down to him as a player. I think he was an NBA player at UCLA. If he would have did one more year, he would have been an NBA player. Like if he gets suspended, I think he got suspended, or
he got suspended, and I think the situation was they used it, and sometimes they use terms loosely that they don't really mean. I think when they said suspension, they said indefinitely. But we know in professional sports, if you're good or if you bring in the hype, they're gonna let the news die down, let the news cycle run its course. We gotta punish you because you made a mistake in public. We gotta punish you in public, but once everybody forgets about it, we'll bring you back in the fold.
We'll bring you back. It could be a month. That could be 2 weeks. That could be
one.
the
It could be
year.
one whole season.
Yeah, it could be the year, and you come back and do it. So I think if he would have played one more year, With UCLA, he would have been probably first round pick, potentially maybe even a lottery pick if he would have consistently got his body and all those different things right too as well. But I think business side, it was like, let's pull him,
We gotta
bring
go.
him out. He got
Yeah.
to go. He can be making his money. And what happens is he wasn't really playing, right? So when you're not really playing, and because he wasn't in nothing, playing nothing, he was away from college, and now technically he was a freshman. Now you got to grow up. You got to play in this league. You got to play in that league. This league. He wasn't really playing, so he didn't really start playing until, I mean, yeah, he did the TBT, but not the TBT, but the LeVar Ball stuff. But at the end of the day, he didn't start playing really until he went, over to, I think it
Lithuania.
was Lithuania. And so that was his first time playing. And in between that, it's like, who you working out with? Who are you training with?
Yeah,
He wasn't training with like the guys that potentially people know, but
right.
who are you working with? He got a little bigger. You got a little bit, slower. Your game is a lot different. So, and now I might be
Yeah.
wrong. He probably was in the lab probably every day. I don't know.
To give you a backstory on that, to try to not, it's kind of, I don't want to make it too long. Make a long story short, he had a bad ankle. So when he went to go to the combine and went undrafted, I believe in 2018, the year after.
Last year. Oh,
No, the year before, 2 years ago.
gotcha.
He declared for the draft the year after Lonzo went number 2.
Right.
He went undrafted. Teams were looking at him, but they took him off the boards. I think Phoenix was like the last pick of the draft, the 60th pick, and they ended up getting somebody else with that pick. He had a bad ankle. He had been playing on a bad ankle for like 8 years. So even when he was winning his scoring titles in California, Chino Hills and all that, he was playing on a bad ankle. So he had to have surgery and rehab.
So
And
he wasn't doing nothing.
they covered all of that in their Facebook series and the Ball in the Family series that they have. So of course he's healthy now. He lost the weight, chiseled up. He's been working. He worked with Melo's trainer, Jermaine Jackson, out in Detroit. He worked with Lonzo's trainer down in New Orleans. So he's staying in the loop. We know with his 2 brothers, since he got 2 brothers, that are now in the league now. So I have the utmost confidence that he'll get drafted because he's gotten picked up not once but twice. Because
Got picked up twice.
He got picked up by OKC Blue. Unfortunately, his timing was bad because his first day he was supposed to play, the league got shut down because of COVID. Yep. So then he was supposed to be in summer league. Well, that got canceled too because of COVID.
Yep.
And then he got picked up again with Detroit with an Exhibit 10 contract. But the problem was all 15 of their spots were already filled.
Right.
And to make matters worse, Detroit got a new G League team that they're starting. They were supposed to be starting this year.
And they opted out, right?
And they opted out. So coincidentally, that's the team he would have been playing for.
Yeah,
So him and 2 other players that, so him and 2 other players that they had picked up in those Exhibit 10s, they let them go, which is a blessing in disguise because they didn't want to hold you hostage. They said, we'll let you go so that way another G League team can pick you up.
Right, and he had potential to get moved up.
There you go. So here we are now.
I think he will. I think think even, potentially maybe playing with his brothers. Who knows?
Hopefully.
I think they gotta pull enough, to maybe be like, hey man, this. But he just it's a good opportunity to kill, in a great league that now you got the teams out of there. Now it's even less teams.
It's even less teams,
now,
right?
Now it's like, now you got some old heads in there, some dudes in there, and we always did, but you got some dudes in there that's like, I didn't get picked up this year. Like Beasley was just on a roster,
and Lance
Stevenson was just on a roster. Lance Stevenson was just on the roster, and I can name a lot more too.
Jeremy Lin is in there too.
Jeremy Lin. They just talked about Jeremy Lin too. So you got all these dudes that potentially that are NBA dudes, and it's like you playing against some dogs.
You playing against some dogs.
At your elite team, your G League elite team, which is your high school dudes that forego their scholarships and all that stuff, and now they're playing too as well. So I think this is a great opportunity to be like, it's the best of the best. There was no training camp. There was nothing. It was like, I'm going straight off the agent. I'm going straight off of your name. I'm going straight off of your game. Boom.
Either you got it or you don't. We gotta see it. We gotta see it.
Exactly.
I do believe that the table has been set because of what Melo just did Saturday, being the youngest in NBA to recorded triple-double at 19
He almost
years
had the
old.
day before.
It almost happened, exactly. It almost happened against his brother, but they didn't count that last one
Right.
that they should have. So even so, 19 years, 140 days. Um, so with that, and then of course Lonzo is in a contract year in New Orleans, so he has to show improve because
Mm-hmm.
he's on the trading block again. So this is a year either you're gonna be able to ask for the money you're asking for, or they're gonna give you what they feel you deserve.
Yep.
Or they're gonna say, well, if you don't want that, then you can walk.
Exactly.
Maybe your brother can get you a spot in Charlotte, and y'all can link up in Charlotte. With,
Mm-hmm.
with Michael Jordan. So um, yeah, it's definitely an interesting time in the league right now. I just don't like the
Mm-hmm.
fact that COVID is taking teams out left and right.
Yeah, it's tough with that. But at the same time too, I mean, it's an opportunity for a lot of teams like Miami did last year. It's like, hey, I'm better without all this crowd. The court is a little bit smaller. Let's all now we hooping. Now it's not the crowd is not involved and all those different things. So a lot of teams that potentially don't be winning is winning now. A lot of players that potentially wouldn't be killing is killing now,
The Knicks are back
because of
on
this
top.
COVID. The Knicks is solid,
Yeah.
so I hope they can make the playoffs, honestly, because they've been, in the dirt for so long. I hope they can make it.
The league is a better league when the Knicks are relevant,
Right,
in my opinion.
right.
That's a
Talk
big
more
market
than just
team.
a. Mm-hmm.
Say it again.
I said talk more about the Knicks besides just LA all the time.
Yeah, yeah. You
So.
gotta have both sides. You gotta have both
Mm-hmm.
sides. Um, man, this kind of went so fast. Was there anything
I
else
know,
you
right?
wanted to cover? Because I mean, we just went through everything so quick, man.
Nah, man. I just want to say for anybody that's kind of out there is whatever you do, go your hardest at it. Keep elevating as much as possible. You can be the best, have the best lawn care. You can have the best, beautician. You can be an entrepreneur. You can have your podcast. You can be a trainer. Whatever it is that you might do, invest as much mind, body, quality contacts as much as possible to keep elevating. And it's not has nothing to do with getting money.
Right,
You could be successful without doing that.
right.
So I want to say thank you for allowing me to come, on your podcast and share with the world, who I am, but most importantly, just giving another African American, guy an opportunity to, share what I know too as well. So I appreciate that. I hope I can consistently continue to train, a lot more pros, a lot more top, ranked high school girls and boys, and a lot of WNBA players, and keep on elevating as much as possible.
And I want to thank you for reaching out, supporting the podcast. Again, we got to support one another as people.
Hmm.
Something that we struggle with, and it's not, it's a generational curse that we got to break and turn into generational wealth at the end of the day, and not just in a monetary sense. Wealth as in knowledge, wealth as in support, love, and being able to build with one another, and make sure that we uplift everybody that's doing something positive and trying to change the culture.
Right. Well, I appreciate it, my man.
No problem. Again, Coach Nate Bowie, I thank you. Let them know where they can find you at, so we can keep up with you. Check in with you on your training. Let them know where they can find you at, Chief.
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram. It's Nate period Bowie. So Nate period Bowie.
Okay.
That's my Instagram. And if they ever need some drills or anything like that, you can type my name, Nate Bowie, in YouTube, and you can find me there. Support, people and empowering women and elevating as much as possible.
Absolutely. And again, this is GTA's Heat Check 101. You can follow GTA Heat Check on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, as well as GTA Sports Network on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Subscribe to the YouTube channel GTA Sports, which this will be on. And don't forget to subscribe to GTASportsNet.com for all things in the world of sports. This is Ty Slatter with Coach Nate Bowie. Until next time, we out.